Assalamu alaikum. I'm Congresswoman Rasheed Tlaib. I wanted to bring my love and joy and support to Islamic Relief during this Ramadan season. Ramadan Mubarak to all of you.
Let us salute Islamic Relief USA for living up to the calling of this holy month, helping local organizations, providing food security, health care, and financial assistance to struggling communities and resettled refugees.
Our Muslim American community has been on the front lines in Florida's 9th Congressional District and other areas of the nation to help us recover.
I'm grateful for all the work they are doing in my district and around the world.
Islamic Relief USA is constantly working together for a better world.
Your charitable efforts to help reduce hunger, educate refugees, and assist survivors of domestic abuse embody the noble values that are honored in Ramadan.
Your work to put the Muslim values of community and charity into action has helped not only provide food, but also healthcare, financial assistance, and many more hit hardest by this pandemic.
Islamic Relief USA and the Muslim American community in my district have lived those values to the fullest these last 2 years.
Thank you to Islamic Relief USA for the work you do to lift the voices of Muslims all around the world.
As we continue to fight for a more just and more tolerant world, I am honored to be your partner in Congress.
It's this community care that binds us as a global human family.
We are better for all that you have contributed and the difference that you make.
I wish you and all of my Muslim brothers and sisters a blessed month of peace and spiritual renewal.
May peace and love be brought upon you. Ramadan Mubarak.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. This is your brother Preacher Moss, the host of the SOS the ShOUT show. Hope that you are having an amazing Saturday as we slide into June 15. You know, brothers and sisters, this whole idea of Ramadan is just snowballing in a lot of regards. And let me say up front, as we talk about June 15, it does have a little bit of a personal reticence for me, because this is probably one of the first Jews that I actually read, and I read over again. Because it covers so many aspects of just human development, human curiosity, but also human greed, human selfishness. So in that space, you know, I want to make sure that I am coming correctly. And for probably the only time we will do, I'm actually going to bring somebody in that does a different perspective on June 15, because I think it's important that we share it. So that's number one. Number two is I want to give a shout out to our consultant producer. That would be Sister Tana Whitfield holding it down. We had a lot of technical issues that you guys don't need to know about. But alhamdulillah, you know, if you keep on pushing, man, Allah's going to reward you. Like I said, there's nothing like the grind. And I want to say that our guest today on the spotlight is one of the hardest grinders in the world. I mean, I've known this brother for quite a number of years. And sometimes as an artist, you can falsely predict where somebody's going to end. And I'm happy to say that I falsely predicted where Nader was going to be, because he really held true in the wave of spiritual music, which in this case for Muslims we call Nasheeds. He's really remained true. He's like the OG of the Nasheeds, you know, holding true to what it is that Nasheeds are. Also, the fact that he's explored the aspect of spiritual music in a way that a lot of people have not. You can say it's commercial. It's not really commercial. I've watched quite a number of his videos. I've seen some of his live performances, and I'm like, this is the closest to a man making musicals thicker that you're actually going to see. And there's a couple people that do that, but at his level, at his proficiency, and also at his consistency, we've been really, really blessed. So that's number one. Number two, I want to give a shout out, of course, to Islamic Relief USA. Thank you guys so much for supporting this effort. We seem to get better and better and better and better. And that's because when you work with good people, we have good intentions, it does make it work a lot easier. Like I said, I shouted out Sister Tana, but you know what? We've been working for so long that it's interesting. We just pick up spots. And the cool part is our community comes right into the space. It's funny because they're getting really Muslim-y because they don't come on right at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock. They come in right after. They know when the commercial breaks. They know when the commercial breaks are. And God bless you. Also, want to give a bit of a shout out to University of Cincinnati. Yesterday we had a performance there, and they tried to accommodate your brother as best they could, and beautiful young folks. That MSA runs University of Cincinnati. Shout out to them, and thank you so much for having me at your place. It was a beautiful undertaking, and it's just fun to see young folks really engaged and talking about Islam and things like that. And they had a fast-a-thon, which is they got non-Muslims to fast, and then they gave them iftar. It was a beautiful thing. It was a really beautiful thing. So those are the couple points I want to make. So before we get into this, let me tell you how Saturday Spotlight works. Let me tell you how I pick people for Saturday Spotlights. I'm a little eccentric. Not crazy, not goofy. Look at Satana. There's you are. No. I'm a little eccentric because I've looked to find nuances of people that other people are not seeing. And maybe, over a period of years, they'll blow up. It's almost like you recognize talent. Like, I think that guy will be pretty good here or there. And sometimes you have the pleasure of putting them on. Sometimes they'll put you on. There's a relationship that's there to be had. And as we talk about this whole idea of spiritual music, let's be honest. I grew up in the church before I reverted to Islam or converted to Islam. I grew up in the church, and the church had really a stranglehold, particularly for African Americans, on spiritual music, because the whole idea of spiritual music is that it was tied to a struggle. And when I say tied to a struggle, I mean a mental struggle, a physical struggle, a spiritual struggle, and you can see that and feel it in the music. There are some songs that were made in the 1920s that are just as relevant now. I remember I was listening to Kanye West's album, his first album. I can't remember what it was. And he had a song on there called, what was that? What was the name of that song? Do Not Pass Me By. I'll Fly Home. And I remember listening to I'll Fly Home like, this is amazing, because there was no edits, there was no scratches. It was like, this is coming from the guy's heart. And it's always been interesting to remember that and see now that he does these large gospel gatherings and stuff like that. Now I'm going to speak about Brother Nader Khan, and we're going to get into our community section, our shout out soldiers, our shout out show family. But I saw this with Nader, I want to say about 2006. I'd seen him before performing, and he did something that was really interesting. Before he started performing, he reminded people that he was working for Allah. And I sat back like, oh, that's dope. He's like, no. He says, I'm working for Allah. He said, all the mistakes I may make, vocally, musically, that's on me. He said, but the premise is that I'm here for that space. And I thought it was really interesting. I don't know if people miss it or not. I'm like, well, this is what drives the guy. This is what drives the guy. When you listen to Mahalia Jackson and folks like that, there's a thing about Mahalia Jackson. It's like, who she's working for. And so for the music that he's put out over the last couple of years, it's been extremely consistent. It's been consistent. It's had a core. I love Nader, but he never makes a song under 6 minutes. But it's okay because he's working for Allah. I had to throw that in. I'm horrible. Please forgive me. I'm on meds. So that being said, I'm going to introduce him briefly, but I want to introduce everybody in the comment section that's come here to support our Saturday Spotlight. Who we got today? Sister Ree, what's going on? Hello, family. Hello to you. Peace and blessings to you and your family, Derek, Juwan, and we hope that you're in a good place physically, mentally, spiritually. We always keep you in our prayers, Sister Ree, and thank you so much for joining us today. Next up, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's going on, brother Altaf Rashid? You got something down here today. Welcome to the show, my fellow Canadian bro. Oh, you got some love here. Just so you know, Nader, Altaf Rashid is the official Canadian ambassador to the ShOUT Out Show. I know you never heard of a Canadian ambassador to a live stream, but he is ours. He's been here for the meeting. We call him Mr. 6 o'clock straight up, straight down, because he's always on time, even though lately he's been coming in after that commercial. No, I'm just kidding. Much love. All right, next up, we got my main man, Bilal Salahuddin. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. They're giving you greetings, Nader. It's always love on the SOS. And Bilal is our main guy. Bilal's gonna be our main researcher here in a minute, replacing Sister Rabia Chowdhury, because Sister Rabia used to be all on it, boy. She was a halal conspiracy, but we miss her though. Bilal, shout out to you. Of course, Sister Sonia, I hope everything's going well with you and your 9 grandchildren, brother. 9 grandchildren. You might as well just move out your house when they come, because they're gonna take that joint over. All right, next up. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Johnny L. Thomas, better known as JT, my little brother. What's going on, Lot? Thank you so much for checking on me, because I know I was a little shaky yesterday, but I appreciate you checking on me. I did handle my business, so I'm feeling better. I'm getting there, so keep me in your du'as, all right? Next up, there you go. Nader, you're a star, brother. He said, welcome to Saturday Night Spotlight. I can't really tell you about our community, man. They tell them, but they give you the space by themselves. Oh my goodness. My main man, Zain Patel. Zain, bro, I hope you're feeling better. I don't know if talking to you about your ailment rubbed off on me. Brother, I'm never gonna call you again, though, because actually, man, I'm making the walk for you. Hopefully, seriously, that you feel better. Thank you so much for joining the show. We appreciate it. Shout outs to the Patel family. Just so you guys know, Zain is like one of my main dudes, man. He's been around. You ever have a guy that's just been around? He's been steady. That's Zain, man. He's never too high, never too low, never too busy to take a phone call. So, brother, I appreciate you coming on the platform. Peace and blessings to you and your family. All right. And of course, wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to our consulting producer, Sister Satana Whitfield, who keeps this thing moving and jumping. Even when your boy's not on top of his game, she keeps it moving and jumping. In fact, she is a voice of reason. Y'all don't know how close the Jews section was going to be named Good News from Your Jews, but she talked me out of she talked me out of Good News from Your Jews. And now we just have the spotlight. After she laughed like 3 minutes, she was like, no. All right, thank you, Sadada. Oh, and we got Nader. He's up here laughing. Nader's my homeboy right here. So we've had some good times. Okay, so we're gonna bring Nader on right now, and then we're gonna jump into one of his songs. I'm gonna ask him about the song, because every song has its own narrative. You know, I'm a wannabe failed musician, and that's why I do comedy. I'm not the only one. Nader, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I've missed you, Preach.
Likewise, man. It's been too long. OGs got to see each other, man.
Oh, mashallah.
Are you back in Toronto now? Because you were in Michigan for a minute.
Yeah, I was in Michigan for a month in September.
Okay.
Spent some time over there in Sheikh Abdul Karim Yahya's community for a whole month, and then we were in England for my usual 10-city tour. Ended up staying there for an extra month because I got COVID, and then my daughter got COVID. Alhamdulillah, no symptoms. We were completely asymptomatic, but we were positive, so we had to stay for like 2 weeks back to back.
I got you.
Alhamdulillah.
We're gonna have to go on a 10-city tour together or something.
Oh, labbaik, absolutely. You let me know when.
Hey man, you know I'm down the road whenever you.
I'll just come with you just to sit and like sort of import all the wisdom.
I think we should actually flip. I do the Nasheeds and you do the comedy.
I don't know about your Nasheeds, but they're gonna ban me for the comedy. I'm 46. Dad jokes is all I got.
Well, you know, my Nasheeds are like my Ramadan Nasheed was ooh, I'm hungry. That was I go right to the point. Ooh, I'm thirsty. I go right to the point, bro. Ooh, you sinning. I go right to the point. I should be my own video. That's what I'm thinking. So Nader, this whole thing about Nasheed singing spiritual music, developing spiritual content. Where does this start? Like I can guess, but it's not a good guess. Where does this start? Like when you go, hey, you know what? I might like this.
What do you mean when you say where does it start? You're talking about like how do you compose it? How do you put it together?
No, like when did you know this is something that you wanted to do?
I think I knew way back in my childhood that singing for me is like breathing. Like I remember a few years ago I had a really bad cough. I couldn't sing for 5 weeks. I felt really claustrophobic. Like, so I mean, ever since I was a kid, singing is something that I'd always do. I was born and raised in India, and so throughout school, competitions and stuff like that, winning a few of those, and then my trajectory took like a Bollywood turn. Even though I was, I mean, when I moved to Saudi Arabia when I was in grade 7, from 7 to 12, grade 7 to grade 12, I was in Saudi Arabia. So when I was there, my trajectory took like a Bollywood turn, along with Western music influences. So it was a weird space, I was listening to, Saudis when I first got exposed to Michael Jackson. Funny enough. And this was at a time where he was banned in Saudi, right? The official fatwa was Michael Jackson is Dajjal.
Wow.
So I had to like buy like a under the table, clandestine manner. I got his bad. That's what I was listening to. Phil Collins, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson. Hard rock. I did not get into hip hop because my first introduction to hip hop was Vanilla Ice.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And I said, you know what? I don't want to do anything with this genre. That was my intro into it. But I mean, now I'm relearning all of that now. But then singing, I knew way back when that singing is something I wanted to do for a very long time. And then when I moved to Canada, you get into a better company. When you go into university, you have this quest for identity. And for me, alhamdulillah, given my company, my identity quest turned into a spiritual quest. You try to discover who you are and what you are. And then sorry, go ahead.
I saw you at a program with Seeker's Guidance a couple years ago, a while ago. And I just remember I was like, there's something distinctly different between what Seeker's Guidance is doing and what you're doing. Like it was complimentary, but then it was like, it's like the old story of John Coltrane and Miles Davis. At some point in time, Miles Davis knew that Coltrane was not going to be in a band much longer. And that was the thing. I was like, you're a team player, but I'm like, the music's going to take you different places.
Yeah, it sort of did. And we had to, my wife and I had to sort of step back from that organization. Mashallah, all the power to them with what they're doing. But we had to hand it off to other people to sort of have them travel on, and so we could focus on what we're doing. So I mean, when I first sort of moved into the more Muslimic company, I sort of walked away from everything, and then you feel incomplete on the inside. And this is when I first met Dawood Hornsby. This is way back in 1993, 94.
That's my guy. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then he puts out his first Whisper of Peace, and then Yusuf Islam puts his out, and then I'm thinking, hey, hold on a second, I could have this outlet, the creative outlet, while not compromising anything. And
I remember Dawood Hornsby when he was with
Sound Vision.
Yeah. And he did Light Upon Light, and they did the Adams World thing, and I was like, they're working you to death.
Yeah.
But he did all of that, and I just remember that he kind of dialed into a space. It was like, this is my creative space. Nobody's going to mess with it.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like that's a little bit of what you did. I mean, like I said, I'm a big gospel guy. I'm Muslim. I've been Muslim over 30 years, but I draw a lot of inspiration from gospel songs. Donnie McClurkin, We Fall Down, even Kirk Franklin, I Smile, Love Theory, and it's upbeat and things like that. But then you do have your old favorites. I mean, I got the best of Mahalia Jackson, who's hands down the greatest gospel singer in the world, because you grew up with that. I grew up with it with my grandmother. That's what you heard on Sunday morning.
Sure.
And that's what you grew up with. Even now, I know every word. I can put the record on, where the guy pauses, where he starts talking or just starts testifying. Your music has, some components, and we're gonna show one of your videos. Love
always works.
Love always works. And I want to talk to you about it before I put it up. I know we never do it like this, but I want to talk to you about the song. Like, there's certain aspects of the chord progression that you have in there that it's not the traditional 2/4. Like you've picked some chords in a particular key that it's going to stay above a particular harmony. And so it it doesn't have to have any sub beats. It doesn't have to have anything. It's a very clean record. And I wanted to know what went into that when you sat down to start choosing the music and composing the music that goes with it. Of course, you got to write the lyrics. Which one do you do first? You do the music first. You do the lyrics first.
As a rule, as much as possible, I go with lyrics first.
Okay.
I mean, like traditional old school kind of songwriting, because a lot of modern contrived songwriting is you come up with a catchy tune and then you try to fit lyrics into it, and it just it gets messy sometimes.
Right.
But Love Always Works, actually the lyrics were written by Osama Khan.
Yes. I mentioned that the last time I played it. How did that happen? Osama and I, we were running mates.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of years. I mean,
in fact, I met you guys together at RIS in 2009 when I was doing a hunger campaign, and I asked you guys to do if you would do a supporting video for it.
Did we do it?
You did it, and then you vetoed it, saying no, it's not good, and I agreed that I wouldn't put that out.
Oh, it was pretty bad. Okay,
I mean the sound around it was just it wasn't right.
But the good intent was a good intent there.
Yeah, it was very good intent.
Okay, all right. Well, if next time you need me to do one, I will do one. Because at this point, I owe you. But Love Always Works, man.
Love Always Works. To begin with, it's under 6 minutes.
I know. Yeah, it is under 6 minutes, folks. But here's the thing, though. It's the choral arrangement, and you talk about the progression, where it starts. It's almost a cappella, but then it goes to the drums. And I always say this, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But I just want to say, like, what's the adherence to the drums? Because a lot of times when I would ask about Nasheed, they were like, you can do this, but you can only play this drum. Then I go on tour with like Maher Zain. I'm like, there's more than a drum up here. And you go out and you see all this musical stuff.
Sure.
I always say it was always going to be the push of the mainstream on this particular standard. It was the same with gospel music. It wouldn't change anything. I mean, when I first met Sammy Yusuf, who I thought was, no offense, I thought he was a better musician than he was a singer.
Okay.
But I think he said the same thing too. But I think the thing, when we talk about, Love Always Works, it's the wraparound with the idea that you've kind of figured out in the progression. Now, how did you do that before we go to watching the video, Love Always Works?
So are we still talking about the instrumentation or
both? Yes.
Well, the instrumentation, I mean, if we want to be historically and intellectually honest,
okay,
in the development of Islamic jurisprudence over 1400 years, historically speaking, there was never any consensus among the scholarship about what is or isn't permissible as far as spiritual music is concerned, devotional music is concerned. As far as, like, I don't know, Metallica probably wouldn't cut it, right? But as far as devotional music is concerned, there was never a consensus. I mean, there were majority opinions, there were minority opinions. There are some opinions in which not even singing is allowed. But these are not like people who are like fly-by-night people, right? These are like actual heavyweights who are qualified to have an opinion. And there are, opinions in which everything is allowed. And then this opinion somewhere in the middle. So for me, when I started off my journey, and I was connected with a teacher, and I sent him a fairly detailed question about describing specific instruments, and his comments on them. And my niyyah with Allah was, whatever he says is allowed, I will stick to it. Whatever he says is not allowed, I will let it go. That was my personal thing inside myself, right? With the understanding that there are other opinions that are equally qualified opinions that people are free to follow. For me, I wanted to sort of ensure my sincerity, as in I'm not following that opinion just because my ego wants me to follow that opinion. You see what I'm saying? I'm sticking to one. So just so that I can be sure about my own sincerity on this thing, right? So then when he responded back to me, it was much more permissive than I was expecting. So as as my own work, as you know, as a standard policy, I don't use instrumentation in which there are, you know, wind instruments or string instruments.
Okay. All right.
So even if there are musical notes in them, like a, you know, like a Trinidadian steel drum or a hang drum, or, you know, in India, one of the instruments you have is like you have glasses of water with different levels of water to give out different notes, stuff like that, right? I mean, there's no wind instruments, there's no string instruments, but there's musical notes in them, and all sorts of drums. I use all of those, but
okay,
I would be very arrogant to say that that's the only legitimate opinion there is.
Well, we're going to get an opinion right now. We're going to bring up your video, Love Always Works, here on the Shout Out Show. Stick around, everybody. Love Always Works, featuring my main man, Nader Khan.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hum da dum da da dum da da dum da dum da da dum da da dum da dum da da dum da da dum dum da dum da da dum da dum da do 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 da di da di dum da da di dum da di dum da di dum dum da dum da dum da dum da dum da dum. You captured me, you stole my heart. Oh, your gentle words, your smiling arm. Oh, we came to dream. Oh, we live to act. Do we live and die? Oh, upon this pack. Oh, we can't go wrong. Oh, we won't be left to do happy. He resides, within our chests. Oh, to do the love always works. 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 Don't you see that he wanted this? To do the he made it be. Yeah. He opened hearts to finally see his light and his love is inside us all. To do this here is the path. This here is the lover's call. Oh, we can't go wrong. We won't be left to do happy. He resides. Within our chests. Oh, to do the love always works. 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 Don't you know that love always works? Oh, it's all about love. All you need is love. Ain't nothing but love. Sweet love always works. Love.
Because we only have like 4 or 5 sheets already.
All right, shout out. Got the outtakes in the back.
Yeah, we do. The outtakes are funny. You got some funny outtakes.
You got to have it, bro. You got to have it. I wish I kept more of my bloopers for stage stuff. We want to give a shout out. I think you know who this is. Sister Bana. I think we know who that is.
Yes, I think we do.
She is definitely an advocate for one Nader Khan, a bodyguard. If she is a Sunni NOI fruit of this moment for you, I saw her comment. I'm like, done. I got you. No problem. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. It's like, don't hurt me. But listen, man. Let me ask you, what are some of your takes on some of the music that's out now? I've lived long enough to see the Sammy Yusuf go away, the Maher Zain. I just was on tour with Masood Curtis, Dean Squad. I mean, it's all these different flavors.
Yeah.
Well, you have a couple brothers out. I can't remember the brother out of Toronto. I think his name begins with an O or something like that. He does acapella.
Ilyas Mao.
Ilyas, yeah.
I was just over at his place the other day.
Maybe
you were working on something.
Yeah, I mean, Ilyas is kind of like he's a bit of a throwback, man. But I like
He's
I
really
like
nice guy, mashallah.
Yeah, I mean, so what do you think of some of the new music?
There's a lot of talent coming up, musically speaking. It's also, the availability of many of like things like better microphones and better recording capabilities has sort of democratized, this whole thing. Right? It's much there's lesser barriers to entry. People can much more easily than before put out quality content. Even if it's not studio quality, at the very least, they can load up something to, Instagram or SoundCloud or something, right? So, and there are a lot of talented people coming up. And a place like Toronto, being what it is you have all of these different cultural mixes. I mean, it happened with me, and clearly it's happening with other people as well. You have so many of these different cultural mixes coming through, and there's something uniquely awesome developing here. If like, for example, if you saw in the video, Love Always Works, there's a Guyanese person, there's Pakistani, there's Yemeni, there's me, and we are using Arab and South Asian instrumentation to a tune that is clearly African American inspired, and lyrics are written by a Black American Muslim, Osama Khan, who passed away, Allah bless him. So a place like Toronto is with all of this stuff comes together, right? So
is a writing structure, because like in the normal writing structure, like when you write hit music, the pattern is verse chorus,
bridge chorus. Yeah,
verse chorus, bridge chorus. That's what you use,
right? I don't always stick to it.
Okay.
I don't always stick to that. But I don't know why I don't always stick to it. I just, sometimes, many times my songs come out in like 3 acts. I don't know how.
Explain that. Yeah.
Well, you have like you have like, for example, there's a song that's coming out called Moonrise, which is about the Talal Badr Alayna, the song that the children and women of Medina sang when the Prophet ﷺ first came to Medina. So it is like reimagining different scenarios in which it is sung. Right, so in every one of the first verse, the first collection of like 2 verses is one scenario, and then a whole different scenario, and then after that there's sort of like a bridge section and another scenario. So I'm not following the bridge with the chorus again. Almost using it like a something that breaks the monotony of it.
Yeah, I mean, I do the same thing with stand up. I have bridges in my stand up. Because working like a musician, if you play music, you have to have spaces where you can breathe. Number one, for a singer, you have to have that, so you have to build that in. Then other parts is exactly where the chord is going, because at some point in time, you have notes, but the people become your notes. So you're watching the people to see exactly where you want to go with this. That this tone or this tonality may not work, but this one could be really, really expressive and take it a whole different way.
Right.
Which is an issue, which is really a bedrock in terms of spiritual music. I've seen how people respond to spiritual music, how people respond to this is bringing me closer to my creator. And these are the things that, I've seen that before. And
like,
I think
like one of the songs on the that inshallah, it's still in the pipeline, is going to be coming out, is the iconic Qasida Burda that was written 800 years ago. Mawlaya salli wa sallim da'iman abadan. Mawlaya salli wa sallim da'iman abadan. That Masood Curtis put out, and many other people have been putting out. This poem was written 800 years ago. Everywhere it went, it took on a tune that was connected to the local culture.
Sure.
This is the most memorized and sung poem in human history. But the thing is, from Morocco to Japan, it took on local tunes wherever it went. So
it's like the religion. It's like the religion.
Yes, but on the next album, inshallah, it's we're singing it in blues.
Oh, really?
Yes, and
I think I missed something that you said. Preacher Moss is going to be on this album. Is that what? That's not what I heard. Laughter. I thought,
anytime you want, come on through.
Preacher Moss is going to be on the album. I'm going to write my own lyrics. I'm going to bring
any day of the week, twice on Sunday.
Can I bring a halal harmonica? Just put my hands up and make the noise. Can I do that?
Absolutely. But when you mentioned the bridge section, inshallah, the idea is to splice a qawwali, like a South Asian spiritual music style, to splice a qawwali in Punjabi into the song.
Okay, nice.
And it sounds amazing.
Okay, so we're gonna take a quick break. Talking about taking a bridge, we're gonna take a quick break. We have a song. It's not a Nasheed, but it was a Nasheed for COVID. It's called "Don't Get the COVID." So we'll be right back. Don't move, everybody. This is a shout out show, our Saturday Spotlight with my main man Nader Khan. We'll be right back. Hey, babies. Welcome to Radio WCUC, Convenient Urgent Care, home of the smart patient. This is DJ What It Do. You know what time it is. It's the top of the hour, and the request lines are open. You know what you want to hear. I know what you want to hear. Operators are waiting.
I just got to hear "Don't Get the COVID."
Don't get the COVID. Put your mask back on. The Delta COVID, more contagious than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get the vaccine. You know that it can keep you safe, and your people living up in your space. Don't get the COVID. You need to wash your hands. The Delta COVID is more deadly than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get your vaccine. You know that it can keep you from dying. Don't leave your family all alone and crying. Don't get the COVID.
We invite you to join our fight against COVID and against misinformation. It's time to listen to the doctors and trust the science.
When I think of people dying that don't have to die, it makes me sad. Now's the time to be sober. Together we can make this thing over. Let's fight the COVID. Convenient urgent care, home of the smart patient.
And we're back. I can see Nader trying to figure out how to turn that into a Nasheed.
But you went straight Bollywood style on this thing, lip syncing and somebody else singing in the background.
Yeah, that was Muslican out of Dallas.
Oh my goodness! I've never met him in person, but I've been seeing his work since.
Yeah. So he bought me this song, and it's a long process. And I had a client, a Convenient Urgent Care, and I was like, I had this idea, and so we came over the idea, and
I love it.
The funny part was because he was singing on like 2-3 tracks, you couldn't lip sync it correctly. Like if you try to lip sync it correctly, you're going to get a nosebleed because that's how much of a brain freeze it was. Because I was doing it, the guy was like, "It's not, man." I was like, "The whole song is jacked up." I said, "But alhamdulillah, we have a concept for it." And
that was cool. That was really, I liked it. I really liked it.
I enjoy it, man. Shout out to Convenient Urgent Care, my main man in jazz, Syed. So listen, our song one of the songs we highlighted, and I had to shout out Altaf Rashid. That's Canadians love Canadians, bro. And so you shouted out Ramadan in Toronto. It's not like Ramadan in America, North America. You're like, no, I wanted to be Toronto. Not Ramadan in Ottawa, Ramadan in Vancouver. You're like, Toronto. This was like a halal gang song. Like, yo, we doing Ramadan.
Ramadan in the 6.
We doing Ramadan in Toronto, no place else. The inspiration for that song.
Ramadan Toronto is Isam Bashiri from Denmark. He was outlandish, and then they disbanded, and Isam is doing his own career trajectory now. Isam, in the previous album, I had a song called "Pray My Lord," which Isam covered and released his version.
Okay,
which is really,
nice.
an honor, mashallah, for an artist to come out and do their rendition of your work. It's really, it's there's a respect, there's an honor, and I really appreciated that, mashallah.
That's actually pretty cool, man, because most of the time when you hear versions that are being covered, it's like you said, the older stuff, or some groups cover mainstream stuff that's out, like
and they halalify it.
Yeah, they halalify it. I like that term, they halalify it. So yeah, man, that's actually pretty cool. I got it.
I was mashallah, like a really sweet brother, mashallah. Somebody who I have a lot of time for. So he put out a song called Ramadan in Copenhagen, Ramadan Copenhagen. This was around a time where you have a lot of debate between the far right and and the center and the left, around acceptance of Islam and Muslims in Denmark. Okay. And his song became like a flashpoint, where people took hard positions even today. And the people who lobbied for it got it included into the national songbook of Denmark and something like that. So he, we were talking, and he said, why don't you do a version for Toronto? And I said, sure, yeah, I'd love to. And he, mashallah, there was a lot of back and forth in the lyrics on what I was coming up with and what his advice was, and we came to something good, I think. And I mean, that's where that started from. He sort of asked me to do a rendition of it for Toronto, and alhamdulillah, that's where that
and let's make a note. Let's make a note. It's under 6 minutes.
It is under 6 minutes, sir. It is under 6 minutes.
I like Nader. Nader likes me. He lets me joke. Some people are very serious. Like, I can't believe you said that. I'm like, no. But okay, but listen, we want to actually play Ramadan in Toronto. Before we do that, do you have any other upcoming projects? Where can we find your work?
I do. I mean, my most recent song that was released was it's called The Anthem, or Anthem for the Prophet.
Yeah, we played that yesterday. Yes,
and that came out this a couple of months ago, actually. And the really cool story about that is that way back in November when we shot the video for it, we had decided that we were going to release it on March 4th, which is the 1st of Shaban. Right. And things transpired with Celebrate Mercy towards the end of February, in such a way that, completely unplanned by me, I landed in Medina the night before the release.
But I love the video. I saw it. You were actually singing in Medina. I saw it.
I went to the Green Dome and I just stood there and I sang the whole thing to the Prophet ﷺ before we released.
No, you were. It was really moving, man. It was very emotional. I could see that.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
You were singing and your voice was like kind of quivering. Like,
yeah, man. It was
tough audience, baby. Tough audience.
So,
singing from Medina, brother.
Stuff that is coming up is stuff that we're working on. A few more songs. We're working on something with Ilyas Mao. That's on the DL, but inshallah, that's gonna be that. It's something really beautiful. Then inshallah will be out soon. And so yeah, there's songs in the pipeline that are coming out. Also, what Banu mentioned, I'm executive producing the podcast that she's on. She does a detailed podcast of the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ.
Yes,
it's aimed from 6 to 15-year-olds, but you have 40, 50-year-olds getting hooked on it, which is really cool. So this is what's happening on my side of the camera for now.
Where can we find that? Can we find that on
the podcast? I will send you a link for the podcast. If you could share that would be great.
Yeah, if we can get that for the audience.
Absolutely.
Self-included, so we can find out what this stuff is. It's great material, great content.
Barakallahu feekum. Thank you very much.
Our job is to show you love, man. We appreciate that you've gone through this space and produced some content that's meaningful, it's impactful. So when you come on the ShOUT show, it's all love, bro.
Allah.
Everybody loves giving you your props, except for Satana. All right, so I had to throw that in. She wasn't expecting it. So listen, if you don't mind, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna look at, of course, Ramadan in Toronto. Altaf, don't get too excited. I know we're playing it again, but we're gonna go ahead and throw that out. We're going to come back and we're going to have some more questions. Stick with us here on the ShOUT Show, where our special guest on the Saturday Spotlight is Nader Khan. Next up, Ramadan in Toronto.
Feels like home, Ramadan in Toronto.
A new moon is hanging in the scarlet western sky, prayers brushing their lips, gratitude in their eyes, light upon light. The break of dawn and mama smile, and it feels like home. Ramadan in Toronto, the sun she goes marching on, just like the midday feet. Buses and bicycles moving from street to street, light upon light. Patient moments, thankful sighs, and it feels like home. Ramadan in Toronto. Then the shadows grow tall, pointing towards the east. Loved ones have just arrived, grandma's old country treats, light upon light. Blessed words we now recite, and it feels like home. Ramadan in Toronto. Dates under crimson sky, someone somewhere will pour coffee, masala chai, or a Timmy's cup for sure. Light upon light, oh, break the fast and glorify, and it feels like home. Ramadan in Toronto. The stars are whirling with joy, and angels testify, heads resting on the floors, hearts leaping through the skies, light upon light. Eyes that dream while awake at night, and it feels like home. Ramadan in Toronto. Ramadan in Toronto. Light upon light, 1,000 months in a single night, and it feels like home. Ramadan in Toronto.
All right, Nader Khan. I see you, boy. I see you in your Luther Vandross Motown on. I thought you were gonna break it. Boy, I thought you were gonna break into a house. It's not a home on that joint, boy. Put your hand up. I said, getting ready to go in. It's getting ready to go in.
There's also a Daisy thing on it, right? Like,
yeah, I've seen that before. I joke about it sometimes. That's actually a dance move for Nasheed artists. Because they can't move their feet. They just,
for me, it's a Daisy gang sign.
Yeah. I don't mind that. I don't mind. Man, I love I love that tune. The tonality is actually pretty good. And when you went to the back end, it was kind of slick because you changed key on it.
I think one of the
you changed key on it. I'm like, oh, that's pretty slick. That's pretty slick. I was like, you're getting emotional in the song.
Yeah.
But I don't mind though. I don't mind because
I think with that song, what we wanted to do is we wanted to start off with memories, and then move into experiences, and then sort of get into the whole point of it all, which is devotion, right? Yeah, it's great that we talk about how Ramadan teaches you, what it's like for you to not have food. Yes, sure, but that's a side effect, right? The real point of it is the devotion aspect. So we wanted to sort of return it from all of that to the devotional side. And alhamdulillah, I hope
it turned out really well, man.
Alhamdulillah, I'm glad
it turned out really well, bro. So listen, man, we have a little bit of time left on the shout out show. I actually have to do Jews reflection. Satana's like, just say Jews reflection, don't say another word.
Yeah, I mean, like when you were first talking, I should say it, right? Like when you said, we were talking about Jews 15, I'm thinking, why is preaching talking about Jews 15? I was thinking JEWS.
I know a lot of people are. Good news from your Jews.
I love it.
Okay, that's still funny. Satana, that's still funny. One day it's going to wind up somewhere on the show. But listen, man, just the whole idea. I'm actually going to move our Jews section to the back, man. Can you give us like maybe 2-3 minutes or something that you're working on? Just
sure.
Live. It don't have to be perfect. It can be rough, but what are you working on?
This next song that's out, one of my most favorite things that I've ever written. It's called Moonrise.
Okay.
Moonrise is, I mean, this is the song that I mentioned to you about, singing about the Prophet, singing about Talal Badr Alaina. So I'm going to sing a couple of verses from it.
Okay.
On the day when ashes go to ashes and dust goes to dust, and you hear the heavy footfall of friends who fulfilled trust, you realize you'd been asleep all your life, my friend. Now you're back in the reality of Ruse Alast. Oh, yes, we've been told that it's a dark and lonely place. But the lovers of the chosen one are granted amazing grace. So have no fear of being there if you've been one of them. May the angels dance as they hear you sing when you see his blessed face. Just like the day when there shone a bright full moon on a desert city in the early afternoon. Habibullah, beloved of God, the reason that a calf embraced a noon, all the troubles that I had gone away now, the blessings that have come here to stay now. So praise the Lord and beat the drums. Sing Tanal Badru Alayna.
Everybody give it up for Nader James Taylor Khan. Dude, that's a beautiful song, man. When are we gonna hear that?
Inshallah, it'll be out soon.
I actually, when I was hearing it, I was actually like, I had strings in my mind, like, and then drum, boom, 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 boom. Yo, man, it's a hot song, man.
It's really nice. I really like the way it's coming out. It's almost done. And just make dua that we are able to, because all of these things are resource intensive, right?
It's really is.
You need money to put it out.
Yeah, it's really relatable. That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Especially like these days, relatable music is just like I say. You can wake up and put on Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On," and it's just like he made it yesterday. Literally, it's just like he made it yesterday.
They're timeless.
Timeless, yeah. I mean, that song that you're talking about is actually timeless. I mean, Ramadan in Toronto is like Ramadan in Toronto. That song,
yeah,
that's like that's a healing joint.
Yeah.
Like for people that are going through something, don't play around. Get that song out. All right.
Inshallah, absolutely, sir.
Well, my brother, we're gonna let you go. First of all, we're gonna thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it, man. I know you're a very busy person. You have gigs, you have production, your father, your husband, all these good things, man. I just appreciate you coming on and supporting your boy here on the Shout Out Show.
Astaghfirullah. We're not too busy that we can't connect with people like you.
So definitely on behalf of myself and the Shout Out Show family, man, much love. We appreciate
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
And we're gonna try and fit in one more song before we get out of here.
Okay.
All right, beloved. Miss you, man, and hope to see you soon. All right.
Thank you very much. And please don't forget to tell people to catch the podcast at banomurtaza.com.
Yeah, I think we have that.
Yeah,
we have that.
Thank you so much.
It's on the ticker.
Oh,
tell your wife I do owe you one. And, whenever she needs me to make it up, I will make it up.
Thank you for putting that on the ticker.
All right. Appreciate you, brother. Assalamu alaikum
wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you, your whole family, and to everybody who's watching this.
All right, man. Have a blessed rest of Ramadan. Much love, man.
Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum.
All right, that was a really good interview, and I just want to make sure that I shout out my brother Nader Khan. Every once in a while you bring somebody on that really gets it in terms of music and entertainment. He's like one of them. So literally, I was spoiled that he came on the show because we know where we are in terms of business and music and relevancy, and we've been doing this quite a while, but I think we've been blessed that we've been able to be humble and really affect positive change with people. With the music, with the comedy and things like that, the piece that's off the stage is really, really important. Like I said, his impetus for quite a number of years has been consistent and making sure that we have this space where we can, for lack of a better word, we can vibe. We can vibe. We can talk a little bit more. So here's the deal, brothers and sisters. I normally do my Jews reflection, and I'm going to do my Jews reflection for today. It's Jews 15. Here's the deal, though. You know, you're talking about two ayat, two surahs, Kaf, Isra. You know, and I almost feel like if I am a hardcore dude, I want everybody to understand that in these surahs, if you will, you know, the implication is on choice and what we do and what we say. You know, when you talk about Surah Kaf, you're talking about what you do, you know, how you react with power, how you react with wealth, how you react with faith, and all these type of things. And what I want everybody to understand is, you know, these are recurring themes. You know, the one thing that I got out of Jews 15 is that there's a reason for a straight path. And the reason I talk about the straight path, brothers and sisters, is because if you stay on the straight path, it's actually a circle. It doesn't happen any other place. You hear what I'm saying? The straight path is actually a circle. And as you stay on a straight path, you are able, in many regards, to improve yourself, evolve your family, and things like that. You know, I always laugh at Surah Kaf when Moses is with Qadir. Because it sounds like a road trip with my dad, you know, after he said after the third time, that's it, we're done. But what it really has to do with is the fact that Moses is sent to this space because he made the mistake of telling people that there's no one that has more knowledge than me outside of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what he said. And so he's sent on this space to find somebody who has more knowledge than him. And, you know, of course, there's an interaction with Shay, with the fish and things like that. You know, the guy who was with Musa, he's like, you know, I left the fish. Nobody made me forget it except Shaitan. You left the fish out. But that's just my opinion. That's my opinion. But here's the thing I want us to really, really believe. Understand that divine guidance is nothing that's given. It's not a given. You have to work towards it. So even the aspect of gentlemen who implicate themselves in a really negative human form in terms of greed, in terms of arrogance, you know, it always comes back to the fact that you're going to have accountability at the end. So what I want to do is it's probably the only day I'm going to do this. I'm actually going to show you a video, different perspective on Jews 15, and we're going to go out from there. Listen, you guys have been great. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for our Saturday Spotlight. Our second one, it was beautiful. Again, shout out to Nader and his family. Shout out to Sister Tana who kept this thing moving. Can you believe it's an hour already? I can't. It is over, but I appreciate you, and we will see you tomorrow, inshallah. So now let's go ahead and roll that on Jews 15.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this reflection on the 15th juz of the Quran, which I'm taking from Surah Al-Isra. But before I do that, I want to tell you about a little story that happened at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. A man came to complain about his father and said that my father constantly wants money from me. He's constantly seeking things from me, and I don't want to be, and want to be able to be independent. So the man was asked by the Prophet ﷺ to bring his father, and the father came along, and he was uttering some words of poetry that were to do with his son. And what he said in this poetry brought tears to the eyes of the Prophet ﷺ. And what he said essentially was that I nourished you when you were a baby, about his son. I looked after you as you grew into a young man. I was healthy so you were healthy even though sometimes my own health was affected. Not a night passed by when you were sick or ill except that I sat beside you and I was the first one to be up. I carried you and looking upon you with my heart, and if an atom's weight of difficulty came your way, I wouldn't be able to sleep. And I would never sleep until you slept. And my eyes were always overwhelmed with tears for fears about what happened to you, what would happen to you. And finally, when you reached adulthood, which I was waiting for all my life, I was waiting for you to become an adult so that I could look forward to something too. And that day was the happiest day when you became an adult, and you gave me a reward. And that reward was cruelty and harshness and mistreatment. When the Prophet ﷺ heard these words from this man, his beard was soaked with tears. The man continued in his verse and said that you just treated me, to his son, you treated me like a neighbor. In fact, I wish you treated me like a neighbor. But you did far less than that. And the verse that I wanted to talk to you about, dear brothers and sisters, is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Isra, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّهُ, that Allah has ordained that you worship none but Him. So the first part of it is that this is to do with Tawheed and associating no partner with Allah. And then He says very swiftly afterwards that وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, and that you are excellent, you treat your parents in an excellent way.